So hello, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Artist with the Fine and Performing Arts Center, or welcome back if you have been with us before. My name is Tommy Hensel, and I am the director of the Fine and Performing Arts Center at Moraine Valley Community College, which is located in Palos Hills, Illinois. It's just outside of Chicago in the southwest suburbs. Like everyone on the planet who has a performing arts center, our center has been closed since March. We had to cancel and reschedule everything. So we're not able to present the live performance. That's what we do. We were hoping that at some point that we might be able to do a live stream of performance from the theater, and that may happen in the fall. But in lieu of being able to do that, since we don't have access to the stage, we decided that it was a good idea to find some other way that we could stay connected. So you'll notice on our Facebook page that we are occasionally posting videos of performance. We're getting a lot of artists who are reaching out saying, hey, I have this great high quality video of a live performance. Would you be willing to stream it? So we're going to be doing that. So keep an eye out on our Facebook page for that. But what I wanted to do was something that was a little more personal. So I decided I would reach out to some of the artists who have been on our stage in the past few years and see if they would be interested in joining me for a chat. I feel like it's just kind of me having a nice conversation, and a bunch of you are voyeurs and you're kind of watching and listening to this conversation. And in full disclosure, for the most part, everybody that I'm choosing is not just people that were popular, not just people who are amazing talents, but people that are personal friends of mine who I actually enjoy sitting down and chatting with. So what you're seeing is me having a conversation with people that I really love to talk to. So we're doing this every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central Time. So please check our website out, check out our Facebook page. We've got it scheduled now through the end of July, and I'm certainly hoping to keep it going into the fall. But tonight I am thrilled to be able to welcome into the broadcast studio one of my favorite people in Chicago. I've lived here for 12 and a half years. And I knew of her before I moved here because I had actually presented one of the shows that she wrote at another theater in another life on the East Coast. But when I first moved here, the very first performance that was at our theater when I came here that had been booked by my predecessor was actually one of her shows. And we've been friends ever since. That was 12 and a half years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. So please welcome to the broadcast studio my great friend, Vicki Quade. Hey, Vicki, how are you?
I'm fine. I feel like I've known you 120 years. It's been so wonderful.
Well, that's amazing because I feel like I'm 120 years old sometimes. So there we go. So cheers to that. I am drinking a glass of wine.
Absolutely.
I love having a guest who doesn't mind drinking on camera.
Well, I'm not technically working, am I?
No, and well, I'm not really either. I'm kind of working, but I'm kind of off the clock of my job. So we have a couple of people who have already chimed in on our Facebook stream that are friends of yours. Our good friends Jody Beach and Jim McDowell, who you know are watching, and as always, my good friend Valerie Vestal Reinking, who has joined us for every show. She lives in Washington State. She's here. And then my good friend Jane Bentley, who works at the college, has been a consistent supporter of our live stream. So thank you all for joining us. So Vicki, one of the things that I love about this live series is, although we've known each other for a long time and we've sat down and we've had conversations, there's probably things that I really have never had a chance to ask you about your sort of your creative journey in your life. So I'm excited to be able to just talk and see where we go. And one of the things that made me laugh is when we were drinking wine, I was thinking, I was not raised Catholic. I was raised Episcopalian.
Catholic light.
That's it, Catholic light in the South. And, many of the denominations in the South are anti-drinking, as you know, but not Southern Episcopalians. And my mother used to refer to us as Whiskey-palians. And her joke was that whenever 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name, there's always a fifth. So I think of my mother every time I think about that. So for those of you who are watching who don't know, Vicki was one of the creators of the amazing series Late Nite Catechism, which has been just celebrated a 25th anniversary, correct?
27.
27th. Wow, 27.
7 years.
Wow. So, and obviously we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff because she's written many other plays besides that, but that's how I first got to know you. And you just got a hello from someone named Judy Wright Howell Phelan, who says,
Oh, yes.
Judy Wright from St. Albert's, she says.
Yes.
But before we talk about Late Nite Catechism, Vicki, first of all, I'm dialing in tonight from Berwyn, which is a western suburb, and you are in Chicago, right?
I live in Chicago. I grew up in Burbank.
Okay.
My parish was St. Albert's.
Okay.
And I went to Moraine Valley.
I knew that, and in fact, you won an alumni award recently from Moraine Valley.
Yes.
A distinguished alumni award, right?
There it is. It says right there, 2016 Alumni Hall of Fame.
There you go. Sweet. Yeah. Well, and well deserved, obviously, because well, you know what? I don't know if you found this in your travels through Chicago. Is I've lived here for 12 and a half years, and I cannot tell you how many times I'll randomly be sitting somewhere in the city at a restaurant or chatting in the Art Institute and say I work at Moraine Valley, and people will say, "Oh, I went there," or "Oh, my daughter went there." It's like everybody went to Moraine Valley.
Well, it's a big school. People don't realize that. It's a big school. It has lots of programs. And when I went there, it was a small school and only had, I think, two real buildings. Otherwise, they were all trailers.
Yeah, it was the famous Quonset huts that I've seen pictures of. When you were there, did you ever actually see any theater in those like portable buildings?
No. In fact, I worked for the newspaper, the Glacier, and it was in a Quonset hut. I'll tell you a great story. My nephew was born in 1978. So in 1980, right around 1980, I was taking care of him, and he was a little guy. I mean, obviously. And I wanted to take him out to a few places, and I took him to the campus of Moraine Valley just because I thought a 2-year-old kid would love to run around.
Okay.
And I know this is the oddest story, but the Performing Arts Center was open. I opened the door. I went inside. They were rehearsing South Pacific. I sneaked up into the seats with my nephew. He was enthralled, absolutely enthralled. And then finally, he was applauding. They said, "Who's up there?" And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just a stranger who's come in." To this day, it amazes me that I got into that building, sat and enjoyed the performance, the rehearsal. They were delightful. So going back very, very early, I was at least enjoying the Performing Arts Center.
That's awesome. Yep, the building opened in 1994 in January. So that show would have been in probably 94, 95, sometime early.
Oh, no, my nephew was born in 78.
Oh, okay. So this was prior to that.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, the Quonset hut one. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So because I
in 1980, maybe 81, he was not very big.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because I've seen photos of that facility, and yeah, that's amazing. Cool. Well, as you know, theater people are, we try to be as welcoming as possible.
Oh, yeah. That's the truth.
So were you born in Chicago, or are you a native Chicagoan?
Born in Burbank.
Right. So,
yeah, I grew up in Burbank.
Okay. So when you were growing up, was theater your first choice? Was that your first love? How did it sort of happen for you?
No, my love was writing. I could write and I could tell stories. So if you think of theater as storytelling, I'm 6 years older than my youngest brother. And my mother would just give him to me, be like, "Here, keep him busy." And I told stories. I invented stories for him and just kept him occupied by doing that, which is a type of performance.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I wanted to be a writer always. I loved newspapers, and I went in. My degree's in journalism.
Oh, okay. So where did you go for journalism degree?
I had to pay for it myself, so I went local. I went to Moraine Valley, and I went to Northern Illinois University.
Oh, okay, awesome. So did you end up working in at a newspaper or something?
I did. I worked at daily newspapers right out of college. I I worked for the News Tribune in LaSalle, Illinois, and which was a sister paper to the Chicago Tribune because it was owned by Peter Miller, who had been married to Basie McCormick, so of the McCormick family. So
Okay.
he had this little cachet of being at one point part of the McCormick family.
Yeah. Well, too bad you didn't inherit some of the money of the McCormick family.
No, they divorced. We got nothing out of it. Just a good story. And then I worked in Waukegan at the New Sun,
Okay.
which was a great newspaper. It was really a great paper. And then I got a job at the American Bar Association. I worked for their publishing department for years. And while I was doing that, I was freelancing. So I wrote for the Reader a lot. I did a lot of writing for the Reader. I wrote for about 12 years for Newsweek magazine.
Wow.
I did,
So,
but I always as a freelancer.
So what was your beat normally as far as in your writing?
Well, when it came to for Newsweek, it was whatever national thing was happening. So I did a lot of early AIDS reporting. I did a lot of health issues. I did some, it wasn't called Black Lives Matter then, but I did a lot of reporting on minority issues. So it was whatever they wanted me to do, basically.
Wow. I had no idea. It's funny because I've known you all these years. That's why I love these conversations I'm having with people, because I learn all these things and I'm like, I never knew that, you know? So from working at the Bar Association and freelancing and writing for Newsweek, how did you end up to be writing for theater? How was that transition?
I wrote plays just for fun. I really loved the idea of writing plays. Were they any good? Probably not. But I wrote them, and I wrote a screenplay with a friend of mine. Again, not very good. But it was always just testing how to create dialogue. And my big, I guess, breakthrough of my abilities was that I started doing Q&As. So I did Q&As, question and answer articles, where I would research, write the questions, do the interviews, edit the interviews. It was a real easy leap to go from hearing and working with the spoken word, creating the spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing some articles about nuns at the time. So I was writing for Newsweek magazine on the aging population of nuns. And then I had a magazine called Human Rights at the American Bar Association. And I did a whole issue that dealt with religion. And I also wrote about nuns in that. So when the opportunity came, and I had hired a contractor named Mary Pat Donovan. She used to build sets, and she knew how to paint. And I was pregnant with my third child. I needed the nursery created. I hired her, and we just got to be friends. And she had this idea to do a stand-up comedy routine about the lives of the saints. And I thought to myself, I don't like that idea. I think that's really limited and somewhat boring. The more we talked, the more our Catholic upbringing came out. I thought there's a bigger idea here. And so I worked on that idea, and it just evolved into Late Nite Catechism.
Awesome. So did Mary Pat also come from a Chicago-based Catholic background?
She is. She is from, went to the Academy of Our Lady. She grew up in the South Side of Chicago.
Wow. Okay. Which is kind of where we are with Moraine Valley, Southwest side, you know, so it's all kind of South Side Chicago Catholic humor.
Very Irish Catholic. It's very much the nuns that we had. I had Adrian Dominicans. I forget the order of nuns that Mary Pat had. I really based it on those nuns that I knew. And they were great. I mean, the thing about nuns is they really want you to succeed, the girls. They don't care too much about the boys. But they really wanted the girls to succeed. So they were really positive role models.
Awesome. So I know, so it started out with the concept of like a stand-up comedy routine then, not a full-length play. So how did, I remember when you were talking about the anniversary, you published on Facebook a copy of the letter, the rejection letter that you got.
I love that.
That was from somebody. That was amazing. So tell me about that, because that just made me laugh out loud.
Well, when we had our national, so Late Night Catechism started in Chicago. We had our first preview on May 28th, 1993. And then the very next day was the first performance. So the actual opening was May 29th. And sometime in 1995, a producer from New York was in Chicago. His name is Richard Erickson. All I saw was the name on a listing in the Tribune. He thought Late Night Catechism sounded funny. Called the theater, got our number. We met him at a hotel. He asked for a VHS, for a copy. It was VHS. And he became our national producer. The company was Entertainment Events, which was owned by a group called ForQuest Entertainment out of New York. And so there was a guy who worked for them. He became our friend. And he wanted to get somebody. I didn't put the name of the city because I didn't want to embarrass anybody.
I get that.
An East Coast city to produce Late Night Catechism, and the guy, and sent him a video, and then I got the letter when our friend sent the videotape back to me, and it's one of the best letters. It's a rejection letter.
Yeah, it is.
A man saying, I don't like it. It's not funny. I fell asleep. There's no future here. At best, it's a 15-minute sketch. Good luck with it. I mean, it's the best rejection letter.
It is the best rejection letter. I read it more than once and thought, oh my, I wish that the rejections that I have gotten in my career were that, because that now in retrospect, that would make me laugh.
And I took some of the nasty. He had nasty comments in there. I just took those out. And then I looked him up because I thought, maybe I should copy this letter and send it to him. He has since passed on.
Oh, well, there you go. So he's with nuns up there or wherever he is.
They're whacking him a lot.
Yeah, they're hitting him with a ruler right now.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, well, especially if he's got gum or anything like that. But I have to say, let's just be real. All of us in our career have those moments that we would love to travel back in time and go, nah, 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 see, see where I am now. Thank you. Yeah.
And also, it's a good thing to point out to people now. You're going to get rejected, but you can't let that stop you.
No.
How many people been rejected multiple times, and then finally something happens.
And you hear it all the time in the writing world, especially too with authors. People who we look up to now as iconic authors who you had their manuscript rejected 32 times, and then finally it wins a Pulitzer Prize. So the other 32 people must feel like idiots at that point. But it's one person's opinion at that point.
I love it when writers, as just a test, will copy a manuscript. They will present it as their own. So make up anything. You can make up Gone with the Wind. Or you can make up anything and send it to a publisher, and that publisher will reject it. No, not very good. Not well written.
It won't go anywhere. No history. No future. No future. So Late Night Catechism then premiered 27 years ago in May. So was that in Chicago?
Yes, it was at Life Bait Theater.
Okay.
And Life Bait was on Clark near Irving Park. It was a 75-seat house. And we were at 11 o'clock at night, which is why it's called Late Night Catechism. We had a show on at the 7:30 time slot. Mm-hmm. And everything worked in our favor. So that show was a flop, for lack of a better word. It closed early. They needed something in the main time, so they moved us up to the main time. Once they did that, we could get reviewed by the Tribune. Tribune had a policy, they never reviewed late night shows. So we got a great review in the Reader, Sun-Times, and then later in the Tribune. And that really cemented that show.
Okay.
And around week 3, they didn't have anybody to work in the theater. And they asked me if I would work the box office. I was like, sure, I can take orders. And the phone rang, and it was a couple coming from Rockford. I thought all the way from Rockford to see my show. I just thought that was like the biggest hit possible.
I get that. It's funny because I'm laughing because our friends, Jim and Jody, live in Rockford. They're here watching us today. But it's a haul driving from Rockford to Chicago
For an 11 o'clock at night show.
Yeah, because you're not going to get home till 3 a.m. at that point. That's a commitment to see something. So what happened? So how did it actually go from this small show at this 75-seat theater in Chicago to what it is now? What happened to make that happen?
Well, we ran it as long as we could there, and then we moved it to the Ivanhoe Theater, not the Ivanhoe, to the Organic Theater. So in 1994, we moved to the Organic, and again, luck was with us. Organic had a show that was opening on their stage, and they had a little gallery late night spot. So we went into the late night again, and while we were up there, the whole board had a big argument and they quit. So the people running the theater, they didn't have a board and they didn't have that show because it had been written by a board member. And so they came to us and they said, would you like to come down to the 200-seat main stage? And we thought, 200 seats? Oh my God, we'll try it. We had to put in an intermission. So we rewrote parts of the show so that we could add an intermission. So they could sell liquor. And it ran there for a whole year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it ran at the Organic for a year. Then we went back to Live Aid Theater. We went to Zebra Crossing on the north side, which isn't there any longer. And at one point we were at the Griffin at their comedy festival. And then we got picked up at the Ivanhoe Theater. So the Ivanhoe was 190 seats. We did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was pretty consistent. We ran there for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we ran at the Ivanhoe for 5 years. And then when we left there, we went to the Royal George. So that was 2000.
And you've been at the Royal George ever since.
We've been there for 20 years.
Wow. And for those of you who don't know, the Royal George Theater is on Halsted Street in Chicago, really just directly across the street from Steppenwolf Theater. Not too far off of what's the intersection there?
North Avenue.
North Avenue.
It's near North Avenue.
Halsted and North. And it's so if you want to go see one of her shows once they're back opening again, the red line stops right there.
Exactly. North and Clybourne.
And the number 8 Halsted bus stops right in front of your theater. So there you go.
Perfect.
So somebody just mentioned something. I just want to pop it up on the screen. Mary Cuny says she believes you performed at Milady Theater of Loyola. Have you been there?
Yeah, we've been virtually, if there's a place in Chicago that has a theater or a performance space, we've been there. So we've been at Loyola. We've been to the Metropolis. We've been out to the college. We've been to you. We've been to the Moraine Valley. We've been to the Rialto. Oh my God, St. Pat's High School, which has a fabulous performance space.
Yeah.
And I'm just, the Rouse Center at the Paramount. We've been to the Paramount in Aurora, the Copley Theater in Aurora. I mean, really, if there's a theater, if there's a stage, we've been there.
And my friend Jane actually just put up a question. I'm going to throw it up on the screen for you here. Was Late Nite Catechism written from just going to church CCD perspective, or did it draw from Catholic grade school and Catholic high school perspective?
Oh, well, it's Catholic high school and grade school for sure. And it's the perspective of the nuns. So we wanted to create a character who was not a singing, dancing nun, like in nun sense. And we didn't want an angry nun like Sister Mary Ignatius. We wanted a real nun. We wanted a real character.
Okay.
And auditioning was always interesting because actresses would come in, they would have an Irish brogue and they would be acting like this kind of, they put on the nun. We said, no, we want the nun to come out of you. You are the nun. And at the same time, we ran that script by every nun, and we invited nuns constantly to come see the show. We always, and to this day, we never charge nuns for tickets. We always give free tickets to the nuns. We asked them to look at it and tell us what was wrong with it. If there was anything that they thought needed to be fixed, or we have something not quite right, you know. So yeah, we shined it up really nicely.
Yep. So you'll know at Moraine Valley, there's a large Irish Catholic, but also a large Polish Catholic community. And so, when we do your shows there, we discover that we have this very interesting mixed audience, and also Hispanic audience as well. So because we have the Hispanic Catholic audience as well. So it seems like the whole concept of the nun and how the nun is sort of bridges culture. It's
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We were in Australia in 1996. We had a producer who came to Chicago, came to the Ivanhoe Theater, saw the show, decided to book us in Australia. So I went down there with Mary Pat, and at some point after one of the performances, a woman came up to us and said, "I'm from the bush, and you've written about my life." The whole day we walked around going, "Wow."
How did we do?
Talk about how universal that experience was.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So obviously the show has toured internationally then and been performed.
Yes, right. We've been in England. We're in London. The London Evening Standard called us one of the top 5 shows to see in London that holiday season. And then we went to Dublin. And in Dublin, we met a lot of people who were connected to our producer there. And they told us stories of sneaking out to smoke cigarettes in the girls' bathroom and needing a hall pass. You would have thought they grew up in Chicago. And here they grew up in Ireland, in Dublin, telling us the same exact stories. So to us, it really made it clear that there was kind of a cookie cutter, and most of the nuns fit into a certain type of experience for the students.
So that's always been one of my questions, and obviously you've kind of answered it already. Is that so? Do nuns in general resonate positively with the show?
Oh yeah, sure. We try to make it that way. We've always tried to create a character, like I said, who's not a caricature. And yeah, I think nuns, we have some nuns who have come 10, 15, 20 times.
There you go. So one of the things that I think is really cool about the concept that you came up with the show is that you always do a pass the hat at the end of the show to raise money. So talk to me about what you're raising money for and why it's important.
Okay. So on our first anniversary, we were at the Organic by then, and we decided to pick up a little collection and give it to an order of nuns. And it wasn't much. It was maybe $90. It was just not a lot of money. And then we started contacting some orders of nuns, and we couldn't get an order of nun to take it. They wouldn't admit that they needed money for their retirement funds, or just for operating, just for expenses. So we held on to the money, and we started making phone calls. And we finally got the Carmelite order in Naperville to take the money. And the nun there was, at the time, her name was Sister Thomas Kennedy. And because nuns, a lot of people don't realize, a lot of them take male names. But Sister Thomas Kennedy, that was her name at the time, and she said they would take the money. So we only did a collection at Easter and at Christmas initially. So 1995, we do a collection, and we collect $1,500 at Easter time. I took the money out there. And at Christmas time, we had about $5,000.
Wow.
And so I brought a check out for them. And I asked her what they were going to do with the money, and she said they had some burial expenses. Had to bury some of the nuns who had passed very recently. And I thought that was it. That's all I needed to hear. When the nuns needed the money so they could bury their own, I thought, I'm collecting at every performance, not just Easter and Christmas. And then that's what started it. So by 1996, we were collecting after every performance, and we gave that money to different orders of nuns, chiefly for their retirement accounts. And I'm telling you, I'm good friends with lots of orders. And I was talking to the Benedictine order not too long ago. And I asked how they were doing, and they said not too bad. They were funded at 38%. 38%, not 100%. 38% of what they needed is what they had in their retirement. Yes. So I told that story to some nuns, some Benedictine nuns who are in Southern Illinois, and they said, I said, how's your fund? And they said, well, we're at 25%. 38% looks pretty good to us. So they need this. I mean, they need retirement money. Yep. So at the end of every one of the shows, and we do fundraisers all over. I was in Singapore last year. Before that, I was in Guam. I've traveled. If you have a parish or a fundraiser or a school that needs something, I'm there. And then we do collections at every one of those as well. So we have distributed, it's well over $3 million at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, I've noticed that the times that you've been, our patrons tend to be fairly good about donating at the end of one of your shows. And what I love about it as a presenter is that you always ask me in advance, is there a specific order of nuns in your area? And so what I'll do is I'll send a call out to my friends at the college and say, look, talk to me about the nuns in our district, who's close to the college and who. So I remember, even though they're not technically in our district, the last time that we had you there, we donated to, I think, in Lamont, to a group.
The Sisters of St. Joseph, I think.
Yes, it was the Sisters of St. Joseph, yeah, in Lamont. But it's nice that I have a chance to actually reach out to our community and say, hey, who. Because I'm not Catholic and I didn't grow up in that area, so I don't know the parishes. I don't know, where the nuns are. But I think that's awesome. And the fact that the nuns don't have retirement automatically is I think is a horrible thing. I think that's just an awful.
People don't understand that. They think the nuns are getting retirement money, Social Security money from the archdiocese. They don't. Nuns are entities unto themselves. Just like the Fine and Performing Arts Center is an entity, and every order is responsible for its own income, its own expenses, and its own retirement money. So priests get retirement; they get Social Security from the diocese, the archdiocese, parishes they work for. But the nuns don't. Some have bought in at very low levels. They get a little bit of Social Security money. Many orders don't get much. I mean, I've talked to nuns who tell me they get $100 a month. It's their Social Security check. Oh. They're thrilled to get $100.
Wow, that's just woo. Yeah. So we have a couple of people chiming in about their diocese and or the nuns who were theirs. Here's Jane's Cincinnati Dominicans.
I was taught by Cincinnati Dominicans at Queen of Peace. Yeah,
Jane lives on the lives near the college in Palos Hills, so she's in that same area. So once you had this show and it was so successful in Chicago, how did it actually get from Chicago out? I mean, how did it suddenly become out to the rest of the world?
Well, it was really Richard Erickson from Entertainment Events and Four Quest Productions. He used to scout all over the country. They were a production company based in New York and also in Rhode Island. And they were always looking for product. So he was coming through Chicago. What's funny? What's going on in Chicago? He picked up the Tribune. He opened it up, and there was a listing said Late Nite Catechism. And he thought, well, I wonder what that is. And after he saw our videotape, he immediately wanted who have the rights to prevent it.
Because
So,
I'm thinking that I presented a late night catechism performance in 2004, maybe, in New Hampshire when I was working there. So early 2000s in New Hampshire, which is how I got to experience the show for the first time. It wasn't until I moved to Chicago that I connected the dots and went, oh wait, this show is this person in Chicago. But yeah, it was back in the early 2000s when I presented it.
95, we went to Boston, and they always tried to find locations that were not a legitimate theater. So in Boston, we found a church, and we used the church basement. And it was actually it was an African Catholic church in the round, and it had a parking lot. And it was like, that's it. We want this place.
Oh my God! In Boston, that's a thing. It's like Chicago. If there's a parking lot, take it.
So we made an arrangement with them and paid them rent, and we were able to do the show in their basement. And it ran there for 2 years. So that was 95, and in 96, the producers decided to bite the bullet and see if we could open in New York. Mm-hmm. So we looked around, and we went to St. Luke's church. They had we called it the bum lunch, which is not very kind of us, I know. They had a room. They had lunch prepared, and so we made an arrangement that we could be there on the weekends. So they had the lunch, and then after the lunch was done, we had to get in there and scrub everything. So we were there. I think we did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. The place had mice. I mean, you go into the bathroom and chase the mice out. I mean, it was not the cleanest place, but it was fabulous. It was a church. It was right in Times Square. Mm-hmm. And they put big banners out, and it fit maybe 125, maybe 150 seats. It was not huge. We ran off-Broadway for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So we are the longest, you can really narrow it down. We are the longest one-character religious comedy in off-Broadway history.
There you go.
So never be repeated.
Everybody has to have like a niche, and there you go.
Narrow that down.
So, as the Late Night Catechism itself has been at the Royal George for 20 years. Yeah. How did your other shows come about, and tell us about some of the other shows that you have available out there?
Sure. Well, I really wanted to expand the Nuns story. So I created a show called Put the Nuns in Charge. It was the 7 deadly sins of bad behavior. So you are here tonight taking a class to learn about these 7 deadly sins so you can avoid them. And that was a big hit. It got big reviews. And then it just started, okay, what's the next thing we can do? We did Mother Superior's Guide to the Golden Rule. No, Mother Superior's Ho Ho Holy Night.
Yeah, we've had that twice since I've been at the theater. Yeah,
right. So that's a Christmas show, obviously, talking about the strange and wacky Christmas celebrations and traditions. And then I did a show called Saints and Sinners, which was a calendar of notorious saints and interesting sinners. And what I love about that show is we've done that for fundraisers, and the churches that do that, I always say split your church. Have a sinner section and a saint section. Sell your sinner tickets for $5 more. I am not exaggerating to tell you 2/3 of the audience is sitting in the sinner section. They have paid more just for the thrill of saying I'm in the sinner section.
Oh, that's great.
Paying extra money.
Yep.
And then I did a show called Sunday School Cinema, which I really love that show. It's all about It's all about Catholic movies, and sort of it's a class about the cinema. And then I evolved a lot of those. I actually took the idea of that, created a show called Movie Bingo.
Mhm.
And so I did the whole line of bingo shows. I started with Bible Bingo. I did that because I started to see that you could only do Catholic audience for so long. Honestly, our audience is aging, and aren't those numbers coming up like there were before.
Mhm.
People are interested in religious humor. They want clean, funny, religious humor.
Mhm.
And so I thought, well, what's more religious than bingo? So I created this bingo series. And people love it. We get Catholics, Lutherans, Episcopalians, people who say they're atheists. I'm like, yeah, you're an atheist coming to a show called Bible Bingo? I don't think so. And Jewish, Muslim, non-denominational, just an amazing array comes to those bingo shows.
And I have to admit, I don't think I've actually been to one of your bingo shows yet. Once it's back open again, I have to come check out your bingo show.
Yeah, they're so much fun.
And I've thought about that Sunday school cinema show a lot. That's one we should talk about at some point, because I think that our audience would love that one. I think that would be a good show.
Sure, you could do it on a Sunday too, which is perfect.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we
come dressed.
Yeah, because we try when we do a Sunday show, we usually do at 3 o'clock so people can go to lunch and come out, and then we sell wine at our concession stand. So come on, cheers. Well, I'm out, but that's all right. I'll have some more in a few minutes when we're done. So one of the things I'd known you for a long time, and then I realized, like, really early on after I just met you, is that you, beyond all of the theater work you do, you're a tremendous advocate for the LGBTQ community in Chicago as well. So I would love to know about that and your work in that arena.
Well, I mean, what normal person would not support LGBTQ rights? I mean,
I agree with that.
Come on, it's pretty basic. Yeah. And I work in theater, so I work with a lot of gay actors and actresses and lesbians, stage managers, and I mean, you name it. So I just thought it was the most logical thing to really promote and support rights. I have marched. I have taken my children when they were younger, and when people came to try to disrupt some of the gay churches here in Chicago, we joined hands and protected the church. I mean, we've done as much as we could at the time. Yep. I have a float every year in the Pride Parade. It is 1,000 degrees outside. I am dressed in a full-on black and white habit.
I've been there, and I've seen you on that float.
I am waving like crazy, and people are shouting, "Sister, bless me, sister," and other things too. A lot of "spank me, sister" comes out of the Pride Parade.
I remember the last conference that we were at, you gave me a "Get Out of Hell" free card, which I kept. I've got 2 of them.
That's right. I love those.
I love those too. I was like, that's genius marketing, and I think a lot of people probably need it. That one made me laugh.
Yeah,
so you mentioned to me when we were talking about this broadcast that you're actually working on some new projects that are not necessarily related specifically to the nun concept, but other stuff. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay. I have written and have finished, and now we're shining it up, a parody musical about Laverne and Shirley. And it advances them in age, and we've created a whole bunch of I've created a whole bunch of new characters. I always use the royal we, like there's a whole group of people. But I'm working with a dear friend. His name is Dave Rockenbach. He's doing the music, and we're doing the lyrics together, and going through the script line by line, and just kind of playing with it. And working with Dave has just been wonderful. His music is just so delightful and beautiful. I think people are going to really love it. This was a show that was supposed to open this year. And of course, it got bumped because of the pandemic. But we will open it. It's now slotted to open next year.
So are you going to open it in Milwaukee?
It's opening in Milwaukee.
Of course, it has to open in Milwaukee.
Yeah. And then I want to move it here. I want to bring it to Chicago.
Yeah, that is a great idea. I mean, obviously, anybody who's watching this broadcast must know that Laverne and Shirley takes place in Milwaukee. So, you know, the Schatz Brewery is all about Wisconsin.
That's right. Exactly.
Cheese and beer. So that's awesome. Anything else? I mean, are you working on any other projects right now?
I am. So I have been on Facebook 11 years, I suppose, something like that. I think my first post was 2008 or 9. Mm-hmm. And I like posting encounters. I have, I guess it's a knack or an eye for seeing something where other people say, how did you see that? How do you know that? How did you listen to that? I just happen to, I keep an open mind is what it is. And I will spot little encounters, little vignettes of life. And I like to write about them. And I've written these and for years people have said, oh my goodness, you have to publish these in a book. And this year I got in touch with a publishing company, Eckhart Press. And I just said, I've got this idea if you'd like to look at it. And I sent them the raw material and they said yes right away. So I spent April and May organizing it. And then I took a little break. Now I got to get back to it. But the biggest part was organizing it and into chapters. And now I'm going through it to smooth it out. And then I hope to get that. Their printer, nothing's open right now. So, but I'd like to get that done this year. So.
Yeah, it's funny because I have to say I love, I follow you on Facebook, obviously, because we're friends, and I love reading those stories. So anybody who doesn't know Vicki, she posts these amazing stories about her encounters at the grocery store or on the street or at the gas station or wherever with just people, random people that she meets, and they're amazing. And I think, what's interesting about it is I read them and find myself going, how did she see that? But then I think I've had that experience, or I've had a similar experience. So I think you're speaking to a lot of us who, or maybe reminding a lot of us to pay more attention.
That's really all it is. It's all of a sudden hearing it. You hear the one line that makes you go, oh, what's happening over there? Then you start to pay attention. Maybe a couple was making a dinner date or talking on the phone, and you just listen to them. And all I'm doing is saying, I was at the bank, there was a couple, they were talking loudly enough, I could overhear their entire conversation. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm, there's no privacy issue here. And a lot of times I just like to write what I've been hearing. Most of it are people who do respond to me. And so they're my encounters with people throughout the city. Yeah. And a lot of them, I mean, I had a really amazing encounter. I was performing at a casino in Mississippi, and everyone smokes, and I'm allergic to smoke, and so in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I went outside to just get some fresh air. I saw a kid, 19, 20, 21, no older than that, maybe a couple of kids like 14, 15 on bikes. Something was going on. I thought, is that a drug deal I'm seeing there? I was far enough away from the casino that I was a little bit stuck. And these kids got on their bike and hightailed it out of there. Mm-hmm. The guy who indeed was selling them drugs, probably pot, came up to me, and when he was pretty stoned, to be honest. When he did that, the gun that he had fell out of his backpack, and he picked up a gun, and it was pointed right at me. Mm-hmm. And I just acted as cool as I could be and said, is that a Glock? That's the only gun I knew the name of. Is that a Glock? And he showed me his gun, and I said, "You better put that away. You better put that in your backpack, you know." And he put it away, and then he started asking me what I was doing there, and I started talking about entertaining, and he asked me if he could get a free ticket, and I said, "Sure, you can get a free ticket. Anything, as long as you don't shoot me. Let me live beyond this day." And then, actually, what happened is some cops saw him, and they must know what he does and where he sells. And they came driving down, and he just hightailed it out of there. But I wrote that entire. I actually went back to the casino. All I had was my phone. I didn't have my laptop was in the room. I just went back to the casino and wrote that on my phone.
Oh my God, and I could never do that. I suck at that texting thing.
Because I wanted to get it before I forgot any of it.
Wow.
So that's a great little vignette, and that's the kind of stuff that I like to capture.
Yep.
So what I want to do is I want to get this book organized. Then I want to take about 15 of those of the best, maybe 20 of them. I want to create a performance piece.
Yeah.
I think that would be really interesting as well.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. As you know, not all of them, because not all of them would translate, but there's a core of a performance piece there.
Yeah.
You know, there's something really interesting about that. You know, and also I think sometimes I personally love those storytelling kind of performances.
Sure.
You know, that I find that really compelling. You know, so yeah, that's pretty amazing. You never told me that story about Biloxi, Mississippi before.
It was something. It really was.
That's a lot. That's totally a lot.
Yeah, when that gun fell out, I was like,
oh, yeah, thanks.
Guess I'm not performing tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Or I'm performing kind of somewhere else in the emergency room.
Yeah.
Awesome. So at the Royal George, you know, when things are opening back up again and you're having performances again, what's actually like on the docket? What can people actually go get tickets to next?
Well, we're hoping to open after Labor Day. We really want to see, I mean, it's sad, but we really want to see if there's a spike this summer.
Yeah, us too.
So we have to be careful of our audience and the performers and the people at the theater. But we're hoping to open after Labor Day. And we're going to open with Late Nite Catechism and with Bible Bingo. Very quickly, we're going to segue into Holy Ghost Bingo, which I did last year. That's my Halloween show. And that show is fabulous, and people loved it. Oh, my goodness. So we'll do Holy Ghost Bingo for the entire Halloween season. Probably end like maybe the first week of November. Then I think we're just going to pick up Christmas Bingo and then run it to the end of the year.
Okay.
Christmas Bingo is always fun.
Yeah, I got an email from Steppenwolf today. It looks like they're planning to reopen in October with their season. So, you know, not too long after the Labor Day season. So, you know, the thought is, you know, let's keep looking, you know, us, you know, because our college leadership tends to be tremendously conservative. They asked me to cancel everything through December. So I had to cancel all of our performances through the end of this year. But my first show is scheduled to go back on stage on January 23rd.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Nice. And I did get for those of you who are watching, who are in the community who would come see shows, I did get a really interesting email last week that I'm pursuing from the Air Force Jazz Ensemble. You know,
I love those guys.
I do too. I love the Armed Forces ensembles. So the guy from the Air Force Jazz Ensemble, it's like a 15-member jazz ensemble, wants to come to do a performance at our theater in October. That would be free, because that's the criteria, is when you present the armed forces, they have to be free. So I'm hoping, even if we're still stuck at a really low capacity, I can bring people in physically, and he wants me to live stream the concert at the same time. So I'm really kind of excited by that possibility of having the Air Force band there, live stream it so that people can watch from their homes. And for me, that also gives me the chance to check out that technology. How does it work?
And you saw them at the Arts Midwest Conference?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. People they're like, oh, the armed forces. No. These guys are astonishingly good.
They are really good. These are like world-class musicians who happen to be in the armed forces, and part of their job is to travel and perform. And the deal is it's got to be free for the general public. And they want you to market to veterans and to active military and to families of veterans. So they really want to reach out to the community, but specifically to the veteran community. So I'm hoping that we'll have that in the fall, but right now it looks like we're going to be back on the boards in January at our theater.
When you do that, let me know, and I will post it on my my network.
Yeah,
and let people know.
I totally will.
My network is not only am I going to be reopening at the Royal George, but we've booked a Christmas bingo at the Metropolis.
Nice.
Out in Arlington Heights for the Christmas season.
Great.
So, and I'm going to be doing that show. So, so people can look if they're out in the Arlington Heights area, they can look for that.
Nice. So we're coming close to the end of our hour together. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you wanted to like bring up to talk about?
My goodness. I just think that Chicago is such an interesting city, and I feel like people really, once we reopen, people really do have to support those theaters because we've all been suffering for months and months and months. And I know a lot of theater companies did not get any kind of SBA loan or PPP loan, and so they're just waiting now to reopen. So I'm just hoping that people actually do get out and support theater.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that to anybody who's watching this broadcast as well, as understand that theaters, we all are working really hard to develop new protocols for how to keep people safe, to how to keep people comfortable in our spaces. You can know that when you come to my theater for the first time, that we're going to be doing everything that we can to make it a really good experience. It's not just going to be open the doors and let it happen. So, we're doing a lot of research and a lot of training behind the scenes in preparation for finally being able to welcome people back in our spaces. And I know Royal George, you will be doing the same thing with your show.
They're going to get it ready. They're installing a lot of things already. We're moving seats so that we can group people. If you come in, you say you've got 4, we have the ability to group them, those 4 together, and yet be 6 feet away from the next group. So we're doing all of that already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be. I mean, it's going to be fine. It's just the idea of getting people comfortable to come back.
And it's going to take time. We all know that, but let's fingers crossed. And as soon as you're back open again, I'm going to come. Especially, I want to do one of your bingo shows. So maybe when you do Holy Ghost bingo, I'll come see that show.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, I kind of like the idea that people have a chance now to reintroduce themselves to theater. That there's a lot of productions out there that you may not normally have gone to. But, why not? You've been stuck inside just like the rest of us for 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, however long it's going to be. So get out and enjoy it. Also, I keep telling people, it's just the aberration. A year from now, you and I are going to be saying, boy, do you remember when we were stuck inside? I'm going to say, yes, I wrote a book and a new play.
Yep. And I'm on starting on Thursday, I have to take some vacation time or I lose it at the end of the fiscal year. So I'm taking 12 days off. So I'm off from the 25th to the 5th of July. And you probably know I'm working on a novel and I kind of got stalled. And now I feel like, okay, I think if I don't have to think about my job temporarily, I can jumpstart my novel. So by the end of this pandemic, my novel might finally be finished.
I hope.
Hey, you know what? I have to say, I'm a big critic of my own work, and I reread what I have written so far, and it's actually pretty good. So I'm like, and if I say that, it's got to be good because I'm really hard on myself.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, me too.
so I'm so excited. I'm particularly excited to see the Laverne and Shirley musical.
Yeah,
I'm really so I whenever it's going to open in Milwaukee, please tell me. I will drive up to see that.
I'll send you the script if you're interested.
No, I would love to. Please send me the script. I'd love to read it because, I mean, I'm stuck at home like everybody. So reading a good script is way better than, like,
Yeah.
cleaning my living room for the 14th time.
Well, and in 2021, we can come out to the Fine and Performing Arts Center.
Yes, you can. Hey, maybe we can be your like premiere on the South Side. There we go.
That'd be great.
All right. So thank you so much, Vicki, for joining us today. So in a minute, I'm going to take you out of the broadcast, but stay online and we will chat after we end the broadcast. So don't go away. But I want to say just a special thank you to Vicki for joining us tonight, and especially a big thank you. Cheers, even though I'm done. I've got one tiny little sip. So cheers. And especially, I thank you for all the great work you do for the nuns who really need that retirement money. I think that that's like God's work. It really is.
Many people say to me, "What's the secret? Why do you think Late Nite Catechism keeps running?" And I say, the secret is that we collect for the nuns, and that's it. That's the magic of the whole thing. Is that we created this idea to collect for the retirement needs of nuns, and that show just keeps going.
Yep.
So we've sort of been kissed by the angels.
Well, and also, it's a really good show.
And it's a really good show.
It's a really good show. So, awesome. So thank you so much, Vicki. I am going to say temporarily a goodbye to you, but I'll see you in a few minutes after we end the broadcast. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you again for coming tonight. I'm thrilled that everybody was able to join us. Next week, I'm very excited to be interviewing one of my very favorite people on the planet, Becky Menzie, who I did the math and realized that either as a solo performer or in the groups that she performs in, or as an accompanist for other performers, Becky has appeared on our stage more than any single performer in the history of the Fine and Performing Arts Center. So we'll be interviewing Becky next week. Please stay tuned for that. All of these videos are archived on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch this again, sail on over to YouTube. It takes them a couple of hours to do whatever magic they have to do to make it live. But by tomorrow, it'll be there ready for you to stream on YouTube. And beyond Becky, we have some great interviews coming in July. We have Joshua Kane. We have Nick Thomas, who is the head of our choral program at Moraine Valley. Jim Peterick, who many of you will know. And today I booked Bill Blagg to be our July 28th performer. So we have some amazing people coming up on this Meet the Artist weekly series. So please put it on your calendar, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell anybody, tell whoever you want to please come watch our Meet the Artist series. So I'm going to sign off for now, and hopefully I will see you all next week when I interview Becky Menzie. So stay safe, and I'll see you again soon.